But I did enjoy my scripture. We had a very nice scripture teacher. Scripture back then, it was pretty much, I think it's like it is today, it's just Bible stories, because the Bible's basically a book of stories. And my favourite, of course, was Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. Never forgot that scripture lesson. It was only half an hour. You can't cover much in half an hour, so we did colouring in. She gave us all a colouring in sheet, and you had to colour in the picture of Joseph standing in the desert in his amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. I used every pencil in the box. And that was my religious instruction for the day, and indeed the week. That was my favourite lesson. That's my kind of religion, colouring in. And other days we sang songs. Like we sang a song about Noah and his ark. I think it went something like, God said to Noah, there's gonna be a floody, floody. God said to Noah to build him an arky, arky, build it out of hickory, bucky, bucky, children of the Lord. So rise and shine and give God the glory, glory. I love that song. Everyone's going along with it. We had a great time. That was our religious instruction for the week. Easter came along, and it was a bit more serious. We learned all about the crucifixion and saw pictures of Jesus walking up the road with a cross on his back and blood running down, and very scary stuff to show small children in year 2. And I put my hand up, asked the teacher, I understand, like, you know, Jesus is on the cross and like he talked and he had the sponge and the guy stuck the spear in him and he died and they put him underground, and 3 days later he came out and he went up to heaven and now we're all good. But I don't understand, like, where did the rabbit come in who gives me chocolate eggs and he's invisible? I didn't get an answer. She got really annoyed and she sent me to the back of the room, and I had to stay there till recess. I didn't like the scripture teacher that day. At least she could have told me why she was annoyed. Christmas time. We did Christmas carols. We did them in scripture and we did them in class. There was a strange technology that came into classrooms in the late 1970s, and it's sort of the equivalent of the interactive whiteboard today. I don't know if you've seen them, if your school's gotten in and shown them to you. But the technology that they had was the cassette player. And teachers sort of had this sickness that every time they wanted to do music in classes, they'd stick on the cassette. They wouldn't teach you the words. I can't say they taught us Christmas carols, we just sang them. They put the tape on, the teacher sings along with the tape, and we have to sing along, and that's how you learn the words. You don't always get it right. For example, there was one song where the lyrics were, deck the halls with bowls of holly, tra-la-la-la-la-la-la-la, and I was singing, deck the horse eats bowls of holly, tra-la-la-la-la-la-la-la, because that's what I thought was happening on the cassette. And there was another song, what was that one? One of the boys, he sort of tried to fill me on the words. I think he was making fun of me because I was singing, we three kings of Orientar, one in a taxi, one in a car, one on a scooter, peeping his hoodah, following yonder star. It's pretty much the way that kids learn the national anthem today. We get them all to sing it along in hall during assembly, and we never actually teach them the words, and they just have to join in and learn it as they go along, and they always get it wrong. I think I used to sing, Australians all eat ostriches, they're full of vitamin C. And other kids were singing, Australians blue-ringed octopus, it lives down in the sea. Because, and when you actually learn the words for it, they didn't make any sense either. I think the words that we made up made a lot more sense. But this was what we did at Christmas. We learned these Christmas carols and butchered them. And of course we did the nativity play. You know what that is, right? Mary and Joseph go to the stable in Bethlehem, and she has the baby in the stable, and 3 kings turn up, and glory, glory, glory. I got to play Joseph in year 2. I was a bit confused though, because I turned up wearing a Technicolor Dreamcoat. Wasn't aware that there was more than one Joseph in the Bible, but I got through that one. And I was very happy because Chloe Kennedy played Mary. And of course, Mary being the wife of Joseph, it was a fulfillment of all my boyish hopes and dreams. And her little baby doll played the baby Jesus wrapped in a tea towel. I wasn't the only one who was confused though, because the kid from Singapore turned up. He was supposed to be one of the three wise men, but he came dressed as Santa Claus. So that was a nativity play. So a very sheltered life, religiously, living in Linfield in the North Shore. Didn't know anything about Islam, had never heard of Islam, and when I did I thought it was a country. Didn't know about any other religion. The only two religions I knew about was Christianity and orange juice. It wasn't until I went to high school and I started to read the Bible for myself that my brother gave me, called a Good News Bible. That's a talk in itself. It's a Good News Bible, produced by the Bible Society of Australia here, with its funny little cartoons. And I was reading that for myself, and I discovered there was a lot of stories in the Bible that they hadn't taught me when I was in Scripture and Sunday school. Like, we learned about the story of Noah, of course, as I said, and we sang the song, and that God sent the floody, he had to build an arky, and out of hickory barky, and the animals went in by twosies and twosies. I knew that part of the story, but the book of Genesis chapter 10 enlightened me as to the rest of the story, is what happened after the waters went down and all the animals got out of the ark. They must have been busy after they got out of the ark. There's only two of each species, apparently. But apparently, according to the book of Genesis, chapter 10, Noah was the first man to grow a vineyard. And from that vineyard, he became, again, the first man to produce wine. And the book of Genesis also told me that, having been the first person to make wine and basically the inventor of wine, he was the first person to drink it and the first person to get drunk and throw up. So saith the book of Genesis. And apparently in that state thought it was appropriate for him to go into his tent, get all his gear off and lie there in the altogether until his sons came in and said, "Stuck for Allah," and they covered him up. This is not according to Islam, this is according to the book of Genesis, the first book of the Bible. Now I had a big problem with that, because I had a reverence for the story of Noah, and this was not quite the Noah I knew about. But there it was in the Bible. And I found a lot of other stories that I could tell here, but A, I haven't got the time, and B, this is family entertainment, folks. And if any of you know the sort of stories in the Bible I'm talking about, you know why I'm not going to tell them tonight. But I found the Bible, even as a Christian, to be embarrassing. Didn't take me out of Christianity, though. That's not what did it. Oh, look out, brothers, you got a fire up there. Just tip it upside down, stick it in the grass, that's the way. Oh, no, we've got another fire now. Yeah, I got a phone, I'll call 000, man, hang on. Oh, you got it? Alright, alhamdulillah. No, he pouring metho on it. Alright. Yeah, so I found the Bible to be a little bit embarrassing as a teenager, but I still loved it. It was still my book. It was still my religion. That wasn't enough to take me out of Christianity. Bear that in mind. Next time you're trying to use the Bible to take a Christian away from his religion, that's not going to work. He's just going to dislike you. In my teenage years, I went to holiday camps run by a group called the Crusaders. And they were Bible studies camps that were done in the holidays. So you had activities like you'd ride your BMX bike, and then you come and have Bible studies, or you go skiing in around the Kosciuszko, and then you'd have Bible studies. Or you go bushwalking, and in the middle of the bushwalk, you'll sit down and drink some water and have some Bible studies. And I used to go on these camps every holidays. They were really cheap too. It was about $250 or something for 2 weeks. Good value back then. And I loved them, but it was there I started to have a few problems, because I was really sort of, because I was a bit older, I was thinking about things people were saying, and I once, during Bible studies in the evening, I raised my hand and said, I just want to ask some questions about Jesus being Son of God, and He's God, and yet He died. How does God die? And who was running the universe while God was dead? And I asked these kind of questions, and everyone was going, "Oh, stop!" making noises to show me that they disapproved of the question. I was like, "Be quiet, I'm asking a serious question." And the guy in charge of the Bible studies group got really upset, and he said, I want you to go out of this room, walk across the compound, into your cabin. I want you to pray for forgiveness from God, and I want you to pray for faith. And I did as I was told. I left, I went over to my cabin, I shut the door, and I did pray. I prayed to God, please forgive me, but I'm not about to pray for something that I already have. Because I had faith in God, but I just wanted answers. Because the problem was, they say, here's something absolutely unbelievable, and it doesn't make sense, but you just have to believe it, and that's the end of it. And I disliked that. But that didn't take me out of Christianity either. Bear that in mind the next time you're talking to a Christian, trying to convince them that their theology is wrong. That's not necessarily going to make them jump ship. Christians can't help it. They have a deep attachment to Christianity that begins back when you're singing little songs about Noah. And people are uncomfortable with change. It's something I don't actually talk about much, and I'm not going to talk about it at length. But also, one of the camp leaders there, after dinner, after I was a bit cheeky, took me out and beat me with a roll-up newspaper. Just for being cheeky. And that didn't take me out of Christianity. And when I was a little bit older, I was at another camp, and there was another camp leader who took me into his cabin and did very inappropriate things with me, which I don't want to discuss. And you all know what I'm talking about, and you've heard these similar stories from, I'm sure, that's been in the news a lot. I am among those victims. And I don't really want to talk about it any further than that. But just to say, even that didn't take me out of Christianity. Because it's all I knew. And I was comfortable with it. I had problems with the Bible, I had problems with basic theology, and I had problems with my fellow Christians, but I was still happy to be a Christian. I had a deep love and attachment to God and to Jesus Christ, and that was it. And I love my country.